family. Welcome back to JFK Today, your direct link to all things politics, comedy, and culture. I am your host, Janaya Future Khan, champ yapper and frequent nuisance in the activist and comedy worlds. Let's get dialed in. Just before we jump, JFK Today is a self-funded, self-produced show. We're on Patreon at Janaya FK. I am so grateful for all the support and for you just taking the time to listen. Okay, I can stop pretending to be sane now. I watched the entire inauguration and the rollouts of executive orders, and we are going to go through some of the things that matter now. Look, just off the dome, they chose a plum-colored tie for Donald Trump, and it looked amazing. I was furious. Ivanka was dressed for the funeral we all felt in our hearts. Let's be clear, but one of my favorite moments. Okay, so this truly, like, the oligarchy is realized, the fascist agenda is rolling out as we speak, and it's weird because just like every book we've read on fascism, there's a way that it's been packaged and mainstreamed so that to even name it feels a little hysterical, which actually I'm using with full intent because we all know how that term was used and weaponized against women who are like, hey, I think there's something wrong about how we're doing this. And we were like, shut up, bitch. That's exactly what it feels like. I'm like, Snoop Dogg, you know what? Tupac was right about your bitch ass. Listen, I saw the entire day where Elon Musk was just sky high off Ket. Like, this guy is such a Ket head. He gave this goofy ass Nazi salute. And then I watched the ADL bend over backwards to say that it wasn't that. It turns out that anti-Semitism does not exist unless Muslims are involved, I suppose, or anyone who says the term Palestine. Like, yes, I too get very excited and just give off a Nazi salute. Like, and they were like, oh no, it was the Roman salute. That's what a bunch of these like nerd dork red pill loons have said. I'm like, yes, the Roman salute. That makes sense. Yes. And Hitler's stash was just a salute to Chaplin, right? Shut the fuck up. Okay. I told myself that I was not going to swear as much this time. But we watched something very annoying, but I do need to. Okay. R.E. Elon Musk. I low-key blame Grimes for this. Because, girl, you had a chance to, you know what? Never mind. No. We are, this is what we were talking about, the scamification. Okay, look, this is the era of mass extraction. Like, they're going to squeeze this oligarchy, and the people in charge are going to squeeze average Americans for every single thing, every dime in their pocket, every dream. They're going to squeeze it out. Like, Trump dropped like a meme coin right before the inauguration, then rug pulled everybody. And this was one of my favorite things. They got this one black dude at this inauguration ceremony. This pastor, right? Pastor Zoe. Okay. And he's like reading these MLK-esque words in the backdrop of this like fascist oligarchy. And I'm sorry, but his tiny voice did not have the baritone to cover the spread of those words. Please listen.
In Mississippi, from every state, every city, every village, and every hamlet. And when we let freedom ring, we will be able to speed up that day for all of your children.
We're all of your children. And they cut to this white woman who was just like, And Trump had this like bemused expression on his face the entire time. I'm going to say something that's for Novena and black listeners only. You jigaboo bitch. Okay, so none of the others, you didn't hear this. Okay. Okay, here's the joke. This guy you've never heard of, right? Like an hour after he had his little inauguration speech, dropped his own crypto token, right? His own crypto token mere hours after his garbage sermon at this inauguration service. Like, this is where we're at. This is where we're at. I have to now watch Elon Musk, like, honestly, like, move his head like he's Stevie Wonder while his Ket High runs its course before he just takes more horse tranks to just run our government. That's where we're at. Okay. Let me tell you. Let me tell you. So one of the first, we got to get into these executive orders. I want to be, I just, okay, before we start, there was something that there was a clip that I heard today that I actually wanted to play as something that we all need to think about and consider. So this is a clip from Imani Barbarin, a disabled disability activist and advocate and expert on, speech pathologies and maybe rhetoric too. I mean, that's my thing, but I like this person's brain a lot of the time. So they raised a question that I think is pertinent to where we're at, right?
And if there's one thing that I want you to take into the coming years that I'm dead serious about, I am dead serious about, from somebody who's a professional communicator, I need you all to stop memifying Republicans. And no, let me take that back. I need you to stop memifying politics. Please, stop doing it. I am so serious. This is not a joke. I truly mean this. Memifying politics to see like one side dunk on the other and another side dunk on the other does not actually deepen any sort of understanding. It makes politics into entertainment. And politics are not entertainment. And especially in the years that we are going to see, you do not want levity attached to a lot of the things that are going to be discussed on the political scale, on the national scale, on the international
scale. Okay. So, and they go on to like reference the fact that we are in a literacy crisis, which is 100% accurate, and that, just the ways that information are spread on these apps. But here's what I'm grappling with, right? Like if we hold this, which I know to be true in my heart, and we also hold the dialogue that Ezra Klein brought up with Chris Hayes in yesterday's episode. I didn't even know that was like a federal holiday, but bonus, right? Enjoy it. But that we're like, we've talked about the fact that we live in an attention economy, and the attention economy has typically referred to the attention that's extracted from us. But now this is a moment where we do need to look at the attention that we give, and we also need to boost our ability to garner attention. And we haven't done a great job at that. I think we've done, I mean, when you saw what took place with Palestine and the pushback on legacy media, that was phenomenal. And even still, the conclusions that were drawn from that, right? The lack of cohesion on strategy, the rampant like polarization. I'm not talking now. We're moving beyond the Palestine discourse because it's a disservice to use it as merely an example. But more importantly, to what I'm talking about specifically, we are not great at identifying what our belief system is. And if you know me, we've talked about this extensively. We're not fighting an administration or president or anything else. Like, Biden was a sitting Democrat and bombed the shit out of the Middle East. Any sitting president that is a current member of Congress outside of the squad, right, would do the same. I dare say that a Warren or a Bernie Sanders might have been forced to do the same. I can't say for certain, but I do think about what it would have been like to have them and what it would be like to have AOC, for example, in that seat of power, and how many things would need to change, how many levers that we would have to have, right, whether it's the House or the Senate, the Supreme Court, in order to see through our actual agenda, and in addition to our beautiful frontline organizing that we do. We do not have a belief system. You've heard me say this time and time again. We are exceptional at coming together against the thing, right? So in the case of Israel, it was like we were against Israel. So it was clear. But when it came to the actionable items that we could take, right? Take the election, for example, right? I know that's a really charged one. We had not only was there no cohesion, there was a lot of dunking, a lot of gotcha, a lot of waxing poetic. So this is a moment where we really need to think about what our belief system is. And I agree. Like, I miss when the news was boring and C-SPAN was something that would make you want to doze off and fall asleep. And I've always been like a nerd, but I've never been a policy wonk, right? Like I miss that. But even still, we have an opportunity here, right? And I'm with this person in terms of like when did politics become entertainment, and that it's kind of shit, but we're here, and edutainment is a real thing, and we actually have to weigh in. And I would love to have, at some point, soon, very, very soon, we're going to be doing interviews because you all are amazing and are offering, help. And logistics are not my strong suit. Like I want to do logistics, but then I'll find out that there are 4 different types of jerboas. And I didn't even know that there was a type of jerboa. And they're all adorable. And one of them has long ears, but this is the problem with me. This is my problem. So I'm very grateful. So, we're going to be bringing on, experts. We're going to be bringing on comedians. We're going to be bringing on everybody to, just have these like a Friday episode, just yaps. And ideally we'll have a person like this or this person explicitly to actually, to have that dialogue and figure out what some next steps we can take are. But we have some together already. Like, what would our non-negotiables be? So while we think about what edutainment looks like, and we do need to participate, that is, I have a strong position on that, and I would love to hear a back and forth on it. Non-participation does not work, and I know as somebody who's sort of, as I mentioned, not wanting to be the voice and looking at sort of who stepped in, and I'm like, oh, it's not, it's about us building a brain trust, having a decentralized sort of brain trust around it. And multiple vehicles of information dissemination. So many words. Anyway, we got to let's check in with these executive orders because this raggedy bitch just jumped on the most wild shit immediately. This is going to be the funnest, most ugly 4 years of our lives. So the first thing that Trump did was he reversed all of Biden era executive orders. So it's like 78 or 80, right? So one of the first things, he axed executive order 14087. What is that? That was an executive order that lowered drug prices. So to be clear, Trump is raising drug prices. Well done, you guys. Well done. All you folks who are worried about egg prices, right? Okay. Next thing, he's put into effect a federal hiring pause. That's fewer jobs for average Americans. Great. That's so great. Sign pardons for all January 6th insurrectionists. Now, look, this is nuts. Like, these are folks who are largely members of extremist militias. Like, the FBI did their due diligence on this. Trump did say that he was going to look at it case by case, but no, it was just blanket pardons. So we're going to have the leader of the Proud Boys out who was sentenced to 22 years. 6 to 12 folks have had their sentences commuted. He's one of them. So this is great. But you know what? This is how I want us to think about this. They're looking out for their side. That's what they're supposed to do. Like, what can we give our folks? What can we offer our folks? Right? Like, yes, it's all the words, the fascist oligarch, but I'm like, they're taking care of their people. What would it feel like? What would it look like for us to actually do the same? And with some of these fires, in emergency circumstances, we revert back to a very organic, beautiful communist practice. But what about in the day-to-day, right? How are we looking out for each other? Can we lose this whole virtue signaling? You didn't get these words right. You're this type of person. You're that type. I wonder what it would look like if we shifted that culture, because it didn't really work out for us. I just got annoyed. I'm like, this is one of my favorite little jokes to go back to, but you've heard it. It's like the trans community. We got to protect the trans community. I'm like, what trans community? We've all blocked each other online. It's just like a couple non-binary people who are still running the potlucks. But that's what I'm interested in. I think this is what the fight looks like in the 21st century organizing model. So he's got all these signed pardons. He withdrew the U.S. from the World Health Organization. Y'all, listen, all of these people got their problems, all these institutions, okay? But like, who is unmatched in global reach and legitimacy? Like, we got diseases just running rampant. Just this, and then RFK is going to come and kill off these vaccines. We're in so much trouble with that. Like, ooh, like who collaborates, right? They have 21 collaboration centers at the U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention. That's the CDC. Remember that thing that we saw in The Walking Dead that they tried to run to for answers? Yeah. Okay. They got 3 at the National Institutes of Health, and these are focused on U.S. priorities. That includes polio eradication, cancer prevention, and global health security. But no, under this administration, this is great. We're going to have a 13-year-old pregnant girl who can't walk, right? And can't read, but is at least never going to have to look at a pronoun chart or an LGBTQ pride sticker. Well done, fuckers. Like, what do we do? Okay, let's get back into the facts. All right. The spread of COVID, seasonal influenzas, these put burdens, right? Like double burdens on health system capacities. So when the U.S. is cut out of the global system to design these vaccines, we're in trouble, right? This is, I really wanted to understand this more because I'm just like, okay, I see this, but what are the implications of it, right? Like, do you remember how fast the vaccine was manufactured, which people used, right, to say, see, how can you trust this? And I'm like, no, it was manufactured that quickly because that's what actual geopolitical science and scientific collaboration on a global scale looks like. We could have so many vaccines, so many cures, so many treatments at little to no cost were it not for rapacious, capitalist, and bureaucratic checks and balances, right? No, that's not how checks and balances are used. Greed, corporate greed, and what's it called? What's the word when you own the rights to something? Patents. That's right. That's literally it. It happened that fast, but that came from aggregating data from multiple countries and tracking and studying the circulation of viruses, right? So U.S. agencies, pharmaceutical companies, and laboratories rely on WHO's pandemic influenza preparedness framework to gain access to new influenza virus samples. So I need us to be like mindful of this, right? I need us to be very, very mindful of the implications. But it's okay. Because just because the U.S. they're withdrawing from it doesn't actually mean that we can't access that data. That's what's great about the internet. So immediately withdrew from the Paris Agreement, right? That's the pact among almost all nations to fight climate change. So let's be really clear, right? Let's be really, really clear in this moment. For those folks who are worried that Trump might not take, he might not take the very serious concerns of average people, right, that are plaguing Americans, like price gouging landlords or climate change fueled firestorms, right? Or like insurance companies denying healthcare. Don't you worry, because Donald Trump signed an executive order rescinding Joe Biden's order that sought to advance educational and economic equity for Black and Hispanic Americans. Like, this is where we're at. You're struggling to make a life, right? And not because of late stage capitalism, not because it siphons all of our collective wealth and channels it up to the 1%, but because a couple of Negroes and like 12 white women, 8 Asians, and 4 lesbians got a job one day. That's literally what they're selling you. That's why you're in medical debt and can't pay off your credit card bill, because the fire chief in California, in LA, is a lesbian. And honestly, more people would have died if not for this person. But anyway, and I just want to be clear, what do I mean when I say that late stage capitalism siphons all of our collective wealth and channels it up to the 1%? Most of whom you could find at the inauguration ceremony, it was a bunch of billionaire ball lickers, right? Elon Musk in 2012, right? We got to keep tripling down on this. In 2012, his net worth was $2 billion. 2025, $449 billion. Jeff Bezos in 2012, $18 billion. In 2025, $245 billion. Mark Zuckerberg's wealth in 2012 was $44 billion. 2025, it's $217 billion. What, pray tell, is the federal minimum wage? Right? From 2009 to today, $7.25 an hour. In 2025, $7.25 an hour. So when you ask yourself, right, are we literal? Are we serious when we say that the collective wealth that's generated amongst people gets siphoned up to the 1%? That's why. That's where it's going. But no. Trans people are the reason why you're unhappy and can't pay your bills, right? We got little bitch boys running the government. And that's it. And imagine having all that money and still being a fucking wiener. This place is so ghetto. Okay. Sorry, we gotta go back to the shit. Okay. So, Trump is reversing Biden's ban on offshore drilling for 625 million acres of federal waters. That's going to have massive repercussions for us all. I want you to think about the implications of that while Donald Trump is threatening 25% tariffs on Canada and on Mexico, right? A place that it relies upon for a lot of its energy resourcing, but also water, right? Rollbacks on energy efficiency regulations. That's for dishwashers, shower heads, and glass stoves. Like there are simply not enough jars for the queers to collect to make up for this carbon footprint. We can't collect enough jars for this. It's going to open the Alaska wilderness to more oil and gas drilling, and I don't accept that. I watched the Great North. I now like that place. And Palin is a riot now that she's not running in government anymore. Is she? I don't know. I got to look her up. You know what? I don't really mess with Palin. It's Tina Fey. It's Tina Fey, and it was Tina Fey's portrayal of Sarah Palin that I'm recalling in this moment. Halting the leasing of federal waters for offshore wind farms. This is another natural resource, energy resource on these wind farms. They're killing it. And why? Because they want to make the oil and gas industry more profitable. And it's at our expense. So think about the rollback on regulations that we're already living through, right? We're already living through this post Trump's first run. What do I mean when I say the rollback on safety regulations for corporations? Okay, this is why we're fucking dying of E. coli and salmonella from cantaloupes, organic carrots, fucking Big Macs, and chicken nuggets. I hate it here so much. Eliminating is rolling back. This is one of the executive signs. Eliminating environmental justice programs across the government, which are aimed at protecting poor communities from excess pollution. You fucking raggedy bitches. He wants to rename Mount Denali the Gulf of Mexico. But no, not. What about your health insurance? Can we get serious? Okay. It's going to revoke security clearances for 51 signers of a letter suggesting that the contents of Hunter Biden's laptop could be Russian disinformation. Like just shit that doesn't matter, right? Granting top security clearances to White House staff without going through traditional vetting procedures. This makes me sound like I'm a gosh darn patriot. I'm furious. I'm just reading this and okay. This is something though that I wanted to bring up because around Imani's clip and also the one that I played in yesterday's episode 102 with Ezra Klein. We have to be more mindful of what we give our attention to. We have to be more proactive about what we draw attention to, right? And we have to take Toni Morrison's warning on distraction, because we are going to get hit with the most nonsensical, stupid bullshit over the next 4 years. Like, okay, I'm going to make fun of it. I'm going to draw attention to the hypocrisy when a wiener like Elon Musk hits a Nazi salute twice. But that's going to be, that debate is now going to be all over legacy media. And we're in a weird position, right? Like, we are in an absolute weird position, our generation, right? Because we're literally sandwiched between like the brain melt of cable news, like the ones before us who believe that Fox News is talking the truth, and the brain rot of only getting your news on social media. Like that media illiteracy. So like we're just right here in between, just trying to keep our skin clear and our hands clean in the right kind of way. And I'm like, okay, all right, we got our task. We got a serious task in front of us. But here's something, because this is what we don't get in legacy media, and this is what we don't get in the brain rot, which are the people who aren't bootlickers and ball lickers and who aren't just going to bend the knee and kiss the ring to the corporatocracy and the oligarchy. Costco. Okay. A few months ago, I discovered Costco. And where was I this whole time? With this wonderland of gigantism and deals. And I've been obsessed with them ever since. But remember how we were talking about all these places rolling back their DEI policies, like Walmart, right? Walmart did it. This place did it. That place did it. Nissan did it. Here's like this little random clip I found on Nissan, right?
A lot of surprises this year, right? But one of the biggest for 2024 has been this pushback on so-called DEI, right? Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Now, yesterday, Nissan became just the latest car maker to say, you know what, we're going to walk away from the practice. Now, of course, considering Nissan stock.
And listen, that's just one of several. Like, we've seen it with General Motors. They're going off. And first of all, like, to Nissan, that's a ballsy of you, considering the entire Ultima racket is being held afloat by like drunk girls in fucking Atlanta who drive around in groups of 4 and are just high off of Appletinis. Your literal entire market is based off of them. So I'd be really careful about how you roll back DEI. But I just discovered that in the face of this, because it's weird because it was one of those clips where they have the headline and then they don't actually mention the news portion in the headline. But what do I expect from Fox Business? But anyway, right? Costco last year defended their DEI policy. They were like, fuck you all. I'm not doing what you want me to do. So here's what happened, right? There was a couple shareholders, right? There was a shareholder that requested to dismantle DEI internally and called on other shareholders to vote against the proposal seeking to eliminate Costco's diversity, equity, and inclusivity program in an upcoming meeting, right? And Jeff Rakes, a co-founder of the Rakes Foundation and former CEO of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, has served on Costco's board of directors since 2008, right? This is according to Costco's website. So Rakes and other board members, right, definitely came under scrutiny when they shut down that shareholder request. And that position came as a surprise to some because, of course, there was a massive corporate trend that led to widespread DEI droppings. Like, people were just like, whoa, we don't want to, even Disney, we don't want to get in trouble. Ooh. And like, they've made it so that DEI is just annoying. I hear it and my ears I cringe, right? McDonald's, Walmart, all these places. What I really appreciate is that there are places that are like, no, I'm not. And it's a reminder that there's always, I'm not always, but in many places, there are these pockets of resistance. And it's why it's so key to have people in power. Because while you might say, well, who cares about a Costco shareholder? That's people's jobs, right? When you talk about people and we talk about rights, and we talk about quality of life, like we're talking about people and their ability to just work and live and have access to some kinds of opportunities that maybe others would. That's it. That maybe you shouldn't lose your job because you suddenly developed an illness. Or that maybe you should have a chance to get a job regardless of what color skin you have. Right? So I looked into this person. I'm like, who's this Jeff Riggs? Because I like your style. Like, why isn't this place caving, right? So this is what he had to say. Attacks on DEI aren't just bad for business. They hurt our economy. A diverse workforce drives innovation, expands markets, and fuels growth. Let's focus on building a future where all talents thrive, right? So he concluded his posts with the hashtag inclusive economy. So I looked him up on Twitter, and the first thing I see is an article on ProPublica, right? That is, which we'll be talking about just now. We're at time, but sometime this week, ProPublica's investigation that revealed how private school voucher programs divert taxpayer dollars to benefit affluent families, leaving public schools and vulnerable students behind. And I thought this is exactly the metaphor that we've been talking about. It's not that the resources aren't there. The resources are there. It's just that a subset of people keep stealing them who don't need them. And then we are left to deal with the wreckage. And I am sick of it. We are going to be hit with absolute nonsense and a lot of tap dancing like over these next several years. But I promise you, right? Because I did see, I want to spend more time on it, on the rollback of, what they call birtherism, right? So whatever migrant rights exist are going to get rolled back, and we're going to see mass deportation. We have to fight that. And I want to be clear about something, and I know what base of people I'm talking to, but I do my due diligence, right? So agendas aside, because he's running on this. He ran on this, he won on this, he's going to be enforcing this. Is there any correlation at all between crime and immigration? Is there any at all? Right? Numerous studies. I looked at numerous studies because I don't like being wrong, right? All these studies examining crime in the U.S. have found no link between undocumented immigration and overall crime rates. It doesn't exist. So in a 2024 report, that was one of the most recent, on National Institute of Justice, they found undocumented immigrants were arrested and charged with crimes at a lower rate than U.S.-born citizens. Now, this might not seem so, relevant. But for the rhetoric that's going to be coming, it's so important for us to arm ourselves with facts, not necessarily because we need to spread those facts. I mean, we will know when and how, but being confident in what we know. It is essential for the next 4 years to be confident in what we know. And I know that for all their billions of dollars, these are just fucking weenies who have no game, no class, and no stamina. And we have all three of those things. And we have each other. So fuck them. This is going to be an incredible 4 years for a lot of reasons, but largely because this is where when we get our shit together, and this is where we start to win. This is it. Biden wasn't who we deserved. That toothy bitch, the only thing he really did was bring Brittany Griner back. But we are not going to be. It's like shooting off the cuff right-wing talking points to dunk on Dems, right? They're useless in a lot of ways. But part of the reason why they are useless is because we actually don't know how to make them useful. That's on us. And I'm very keen on figuring out how. Because they have been really useless. I do want to say that. Okay, let me hit Let me hit the question of the day. Let's hit those voice notes. Here we go. What's the voicemail at?
Hey, Future, what up? This is Dylan. Love you so much. Keep doing what you're doing. Got a quick question. Heard you were recently at Joshua Tree in the desert. You went on a hike, I think. What was your experience there? What was that like?
This is a highly irresponsible question. It's highly irresponsible. Highly. Okay. So I'm not like a bush nigga, okay? I don't like being outside like that. I love nature, okay? But I'm not a person. I'm not a person that at this present point in my life wants to necessarily, I want to work. That's all I want to do. But I love nature so much. Now, the thing is, like, I had a lot of folks just be like, you've been dealing with a lot of like family grief and all this stuff with the fires and everything. Just try mushrooms or something. And it's just not for me. Like, I don't need to take shrooms to understand that nature is beautiful. I read The Color Purple. Do you understand? Like, I read Alice Walker and got the memo. So when I was out there and nature was talking to me, I was like, girl, I know. I get it. I'm out here fighting for you. Like, I don't need to have this like dialogue for hours. And I was with my homie, and they were just like, oh, should we go over to those rocks? And I'm like, they're the same as these rocks. These are the same rocks as those rocks. So this is a friend literally making fun of me a little bit. I appreciate it. I think there's value in it. And look, I know that there's some folks out there who are probably really good at healing stuff or hocus pocus shit. And if you're like, no, you got to do it this way, I'm keen. I was an extremely militant, disciplined 20s person, right? In my 20s. And now I'm like still those things, but a little looser. And I'm trying to say yes to more things because yes, all I do is research and read and work and, do comedy and talk to y'all. And that's my favorite thing. But it's just kind of funny because I'm like, I'm not a desert nigga. I'm not. Like, it's just, my lips got dry. And I'll just say this. There was a point, right, where I was sitting there and, all internal. And I realized that my mouth was open. And I don't know how long my mouth had been open for. And that's not acceptable. That's just not acceptable. I don't remember opening it. I don't like that. Now, I've been told that I am a controlling person, and I don't think that's true. I think everybody only wants to eat with their favorite fork. But when did I open my mouth? That's what I need to know. So look, yes, I understand. And I'm out here, girl. Nature, I'm going to fight for you with everything I got. You got my word on it. You really do. But I can call her up anytime. I don't think I needed that. So, anyway, it's a good time. It was, I'm glad I did it. I don't think I need to do it again. But, I'm so curious if that was an amazing transformative experience for anyone out there. Because I'm like, am I doing it wrong? I thought I did it right. Anyway, and my lips, oh my God. They were ashy. They were about as ashy as Pastor Zoe's singing voice. Anyway, it seems like it's about time to wrap it. We all know I get a little ranty and a little unhinged at the end. So here we go. I just want to say thank you so much for listening to JFK Today. It means the world to me. The show really is a labor of love. New episodes drop every day of the week. I might have an update on it, but don't worry about it. We're figuring everything out. Thank y'all for helping me. Don't forget, I want to hear from you. Drop your voice note questions, jfktodayShow@gmail.com. Ask anything. I want to hear it. Yes, we are on Patreon. And shout out to the JFK team. And shout out to you, the listeners that make it all possible. Love you. Peace.